Hi, this is Glenda. I just thought I'd share what I'm sort of working on at the moment. I am trying to get my head around clean and simple, or CAS cards, in readiness for our next monthly craft group. So I looked it up on Split Coast. In 2009 they defined it as clean. The design is uncluttered with lots of white or open space, simple, having a clear focal point without a lot going on to detract from it. Or simple in design regardless of the number of embellishments or how long it takes to colour, stitch or to use a special technique. Or can be copied and mass produced fairly quickly, usually without a lot of colouring, layers, embellishments, tools or techniques. Or any combination of the above, which meant almost anything goes. In 2010 they changed it to it's all about the design, not the technique, not the tools, not the embellishments. It's all about the design. Uncluttered, lots of white or open space, one main focal point. It's about the design, clean and simple. Okay, so that sort of tightens it all a bit. On Operation Right Home blog, they've got a tutorial on what's clean and simple. And they say it's almost easier to talk about what it isn't. It isn't ornate or frou-frou. Now that I get. It doesn't have a lot going on. It's a card making equivalent of the little black dress. It's elegant, understated, it might have a bit of sparkle or interesting angles, but with a CAS card the little black dress is more, less is more. White space. A CAS card will have a lot of undecorated space. It may or may not be white, it may or may not be textured, but this space allows the viewer's eye to rest and focus on the focal point of the card without competition. Ever look at a card that had so much embellishment you are still noticing new elements on the third or fourth viewing? With a CAS card you'll see the whole thing at once. It's crisp, it's clean, it's simple. Does that mean if I slap a sticker on a folded piece of cardstock I've made a CAS card? No, extremely unlikely. If I cut a neck hole and 2 arm slots in a trash bag, will I have a little black dress? Cards are going to look like the combination of materials and time and skill that go into them, no matter what the style. Embellishments. I've seen people explain CAS cards by saying the cards don't have ribbon or brads or pattern paper on them, and that's not true. They can have any or all of those things on them, even at the same time. It's not likely there will be several different pattern papers on one card. Maybe you have a ribbon and a brad but not a bow. Maybe there's a ribbon and bow but no pattern paper. It's about editing. When in doubt, take one element out, or as Coco Chanel said, when accessorizing, always take off the last thing you put on. Well, you may not want to actually attach it on a card, it's hard to take it off. What about layers? Do CAS cards use layers? Absolutely, you still want to make your focal point pop. You want your elements to stand out. Sometimes I see people asking on Facebook or on their blogs, this card needs something but I don't know what. People are always suggesting add a bow, put a ribbon on it. How about adding 3 brads in the bottom corner? My first thought is usually put a contrasting layer in behind your pattern paper or behind the settlement. Layers sentiment. Layers add depth and definition without distraction. Layers are good. And they have some example cards. And so what makes a CAS card? Maybe you just know it when you see it. Well, I've been looking on Split Coast and YouTube, and frankly a lot of the things labelled as CAS really aren't. I mean, I know that's a matter of opinion, but yeah. So anyway, I've been trying to make some CAS cards. I have one issue in that I find mine all have a bit of a sameness about them, because there's a lot of white open space and simple. I mean, I know these cards are all completely different, but to me there is definitely a sameness. Yeah, I'm struggling, and of course if you get a dirty mark of any kind on it, you can't just cover it up. You've lost the whole CAS part of it if you do. Whereas I often make a mess and try and save my card. This was one I showed the other day. I think it was a CAS card right up until I put the sentiment on it. I messed that up. I had to put a piece of ribbon over it with sentiment on it. My ribbon started to touch my stamping here, and suddenly it's not a CAS card anymore. It just fails. This one is almost a CAS card, but it's a bit too dirty because it's been sprayed and it's had you know, embossing and whatever. This one should be a CAS card in theory because it's one embellishment on a plain card, but the hat's a bit frou-frou, so it probably fails. This one, when I look at it, I would almost call that a CAS card. I think it'd be touch and go, it's a matter of opinion. But I'm not sure because I've added flowers if it still qualifies, but I think at a push I would say it did. I'm having a lot of trouble with colour on CAS cards. Suddenly they're not so CAS. This one I think does it. This one I'm not so sure. If I had it on a white background, maybe it would be suddenly a CAS card. That's probably upside down for you. Makes no difference on this one. I guess it still is. I mean, it's just an embossed background. It's one element, even though it's layered. And on a smaller side to the whole thing, I started doing these cards and I started using this punch and it broke. I was cross. I haven't had this, well, I've had it for quite a while, but I haven't used it terribly much. And it just, the whole block has sort of moved inside and can't be used anymore. There's no way of getting into it. And I mean, the reason I haven't used it, I didn't find it terribly friendly. It's a Martha Stewart punch all around the page, so I don't see me replacing that. You know, they're really quite expensive. So one rant on that. The other thing, this one failed being a CAS card because I used the Lindy's Stamp Gang embossing powder, the two-tone one they have, and I find whenever I use that, it always leaves a lot of mica on the card that you simply cannot get off, and because of that this failed being a CAS because it's not clean. It's got sparkles all over it. Although I quite like these, I think they're purely limited to distress type, shabby chic, that sort of thing, because of that. And I possibly won't buy them again when I use up the 2 sets that I bought. So anyway, that's what I'm doing at the moment. I don't expect it's useful unless you're working on CAS cards. There's only rules if you're working with somebody else, because if you're just doing it for yourself, who cares if it fits a criteria or not. So anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching.